85% of buyers sign terrible loans for compact cars that belong in a junkyard. Dealerships use shiny paint to hide rotting frames and failing transmissions that will drain your savings in months. You are being scammed, but a hidden market of specific Mazda 3 models offers proven reliability for pennies. Today, we expose the 3 toxic years you must avoid and 4 bulletproof models mechanics buy for their own families. Number 1 is a legendary masterpiece. Hit subscribe to protect your wallet. We start with a financial nightmare cleverly disguised as a perfect first car. Worst. 3. The 2004 to 2006 Mazda 3. When buyers want affordable Japanese transportation, they look at older models. The first generation Mazda 3 seems like a smart purchase on paper. It replaced the aging Protege and offered sporty driving dynamics. However, underneath the sheet metal, this car hides terrible engineering from a corporate partnership. During this era, Mazda shared parts and platforms with the Ford Motor Company. You are buying a car prone to structural failures. The primary issue is a severe safety hazard involving structural rust. Mazda failed to design proper water drainage inside the rear wheel, wells, and the undercarriage. Water and road salt become trapped behind the thin metal lips of the rear quarter panels. The rust eats the metal from the inside out. Eventually, the rear strut towers and the frame rails rot through. You must inspect the rear wheel arches and the subframe carefully. If you see bubbling paint or flaking metal, the vehicle is structurally compromised and unsafe to drive. The second major flaw lies in the passenger side motor mount. Mazda used a fluid-filled rubber mount to secure the engine block near the firewall. This mount is designed to absorb engine vibrations. The rubber tears under normal driving torque, allowing the fluid to leak out. When this mount fails, the engine physically drops a few inches on the passenger side. This puts stress on the drivetrain and transfers heavy vibrations directly into the cabin. You will feel the steering wheel shaking when the car is stopped in gear. Replacing this mount is a recurring maintenance cost. Finally, the 4-speed automatic transmission suffers from shift shock. The internal valve body wears out prematurely. When you drive the car, it will shift from first gear to second gear with a hard clunk that feels like you were rear-ended by another vehicle. Rebuilding the valve body or replacing the entire transmission carries a heavy labor expense. You will see these early models listed for $2,000. Leave them on the lot. A rusting frame is bad enough. But what happens when an automaker builds a reliable engine but surrounds it with electrical components that melt from their own heat? Prepare yourself for a frustrating ownership experience. Worst 2. The 2010 Mazda 3. In 2010, Mazda introduced the second generation of the Mazda 3. This generation is famous for its smiling front grille. Mazda improved the rust-proofing process and refined the suspension, but they introduced a series of new electrical and interior flaws. The 2010 model year is the first year of this new generation, making it a test subject for unproven components. The most prominent failure point is the transmission control module. This small computer dictates how and when the automatic transmission shifts gears. Mazda engineers decided to mount this delicate circuit board directly on top of the metal transmission casing. The heat from the transmission transfers into the module, cooking the internal solder joints. When the module fails, the check engine light and the automatic transmission light illuminate on the dashboard. The car will lock itself into third gear to prevent further damage. You will have poor acceleration and high engine speeds on the highway. You must purchase a new module and relocate it away from the heat source to solve this flaw permanently. The second issue involves the interior dashboard material. Mazda used a synthetic material on the upper dashboard that degrades when exposed to ultraviolet sunlight. The dashboard turns sticky to the touch and develops a shiny glare that reflects onto the windshield, making it difficult to see the road on sunny days. The material will eventually split and crack across the passenger side. Touching the dashboard leaves permanent fingerprints in the melting plastic. Replacing the dashboard structure requires removing the steering wheel and the center console, which is a high labor cost. Find a car that was parked in a garage. Third, the manual transmission models suffer from premature clutch wear. The clutch release bearing and the pressure plate weaken faster than expected. If you test drive a manual version and the clutch pedal feels stiff, or if the transmission grinds when shifting into reverse, the clutch assembly is failing. Replacing the clutch requires removing the transmission from the vehicle. Dealerships try to sell these specific years for $4,000 to $6,000. Do not buy one. Are you tired of salesmen hiding the truth about these flawed vehicles? Hit the subscribe button right now. We expose the mechanical reality so you can protect your wallet. Let us move to the worst vehicle on this list. Pay close attention to the flaws on this next car because they will drive you crazy on a daily commute. Worst one? The 2014 Mazda 3. Mazda redesigned the Mazda 3 from the ground up for the 2014 model year. They introduced the Kodo design language and the full Skyactiv technology suite. The car looked beautiful and promised incredible fuel economy. However, as with many first-year redesigns, the 2014 model is riddled with early adoption bugs and electrical glitches that ruin the driving experience. The primary failure point is the infotainment screen. Mazda mounted a display screen on top of the dashboard. The digitizer layer separates from the display glass due to cabin heat. This causes a phenomenon known as ghost touch. The screen will randomly select radio stations, dial phone contacts, and change the navigation route without you touching the glass. This happens most often when the car is stopped at a traffic light. Start the car and let it idle in park. If the screen registers inputs on its own, you must replace the entire display unit. Some owners disable the touchscreen feature by unplugging the ribbon cable behind the dashboard, but you lose functionality. The second fatal flaw is the rear electronic parking brake system. Mazda transitioned from a manual cable handbrake to an electronic motor attached to the rear brake calipers. If a previous owner or an untrained mechanic attempts to replace the rear brake pads without using a diagnostic computer to put the vehicle into maintenance mode, the internal electric motor is crushed. The caliper will lock onto the brake rotor, ruining the brakes and stranding the vehicle. You must test the electronic parking brake switch multiple times during a test drive to ensure it engages and releases without grinding noises. Finally, the cold start exhaust rattle is a widespread annoyance. The factory heat shields surrounding the exhaust manifold and the catalytic converter crack near their mounting bolts. When you start the engine on a cold morning, the metal vibrates loudly until the exhaust system warms up and expands. While this does not cause catastrophic engine failure, it sounds terrible and requires a mechanic to weld the shields or secure them with metal clamps. These models sell for $8,000 to $12,000. They are priced low because the market knows the screens and brakes will fail. Walk away. Now that we have exposed the financial traps, we can shift to the vehicles that will protect your wallet. If you want maximum reliability but have a strict budget, our first recommendation is an unstoppable commuter car. Best 4. The 2013 Mazda 3. When you want a vehicle that combines vintage simplicity with modern efficiency, the 2013 Mazda 3 is the smartest purchase on the used market. This is the final year of the second-generation body style. Mazda spent years fixing the flaws that plagued the early models. They corrected the melting dashboard issue by changing the synthetic material composition. They relocated the transmission control module to prevent it from overheating. More importantly, they introduced their greatest engine architecture right before the body style changed. You must hunt specifically for the models equipped with the 2.0-liter Skyactiv 4-cylinder engine. Mazda placed their brand new, highly efficient engine into the older, proven chassis. This engine utilizes a high compression ratio to extract energy from regular unleaded gasoline. It produces strong low-end torque while returning 40 miles per gallon on the highway. The engine block is cast aluminum with iron cylinder liners, meaning it operates for decades without internal wear. It uses a steel timing chain that lasts the life of the vehicle. Mazda paired this engine with the Skyactiv Drive 6-speed automatic transmission. Unlike competitors who use continuously variable transmissions that fail early, Mazda kept traditional gears. This specific gearbox uses a torque converter for smooth low-speed crawling and a multi-plate clutch for direct engagement at higher speeds. It shifts crisp and holds gears on steep hills. A high school teacher named Sarah bought a 2013 Mazda 3 to commute 50 miles a day. She navigated heavy highway traffic and rough city streets. The simple interior layout allowed her to adjust the climate control without looking away from the road. She followed the basic maintenance schedule, changing the synthetic oil every 5,000 miles. She crossed 250,000 miles on the original powertrain. The car required no major repairs, only basic wear items like brake pads and tires. Before you buy, inspect the front suspension components. The front strut assemblies naturally wear out around 100,000 miles. Take the car on a test drive over a rough road. If the front end feels bouncy or clunks over speed bumps, you need to replace the front struts. This is a normal wear item and a moderate repair expense. You can find these reliable commuters for $5,000 to $8,000. A basic commuter is great for saving money, but what if you want a premium driving experience wrapped in a reliable package? The previous generation had flaws, but the engineers returned to the drawing board and created a redemption story. Best 3. The 2018 Mazda 3. Mazda learned hard lessons from the ghost touchscreens and electronic brake failures of the early third-generation models. When automakers introduce a new body style, the buyers act as unpaid test subjects. The early production years are filled with glitches and design oversights. By 2018, Mazda engineers read the warranty claims and perfected the formula. The 2018 Mazda 3 represents the final and most refined year of the third generation. It is the definitive compact car that makes the Honda Civic look overpriced and overcomplicated. The core of this champion is the 2.5-liter naturally aspirated Skyactiv 4-cylinder engine. In an era where other manufacturers rely on fragile, heat-soaked turbochargers to make power, Mazda kept the engineering simple. You do not have to worry about replacing expensive turbo units or dealing with severe oil consumption. Mazda achieved efficiency by using a high 14:1 compression ratio. To prevent engine knock on regular gas, they designed a complex 4-2-1 exhaust header that pulls heat away from the engine block. This engine produces 184 horsepower, providing plenty of power for highway passing and steep inclines. It pairs with the proven 6-speed automatic transmission. Mechanics across the country praise this specific drivetrain because it refuses to brake. While companies like Honda and Subaru force buyers to accept sluggish, continuously variable transmissions that feel like slipping rubber bands, Mazda uses traditional planetary gears that shift with precision. The driving dynamics set this car apart from every competitor in its class. Mazda utilized a fully independent multi-link rear suspension setup. This specific geometry allows the rear tires to maintain flat, constant contact with the pavement during aggressive cornering. The steering rack is weighted and communicative, allowing you to feel the texture of the road directly through the steering wheel. Mazda also utilizes a system called G-vectoring control. This computer setup reduces engine torque by a fraction of a second when you turn the steering wheel. This slight reduction shifts the vehicle weight forward onto the front tires, providing massive grip and a smooth turn. Your passengers will not experience motion sickness on winding roads. The interior quality rivals expensive European luxury cars. The ghost touchscreen issue of the early years was resolved by using an updated display supplier. The cabin features soft touch materials on the dashboard, premium stitching on the seats, and thick acoustic glass that blocks out highway wind noise. The front seats are engineered to support your lower back, preventing fatigue during long commutes. The hatchback model offers excellent utility, allowing you to fold the rear seats flat to transport bulky items. Instead of a distracting touchscreen, Mazda uses a physical rotary dial on the center console to control the radio and navigation. You can navigate the menus by muscle memory without taking your eyes off the road ahead. The safety ratings are flawless, with the chassis utilizing high-tensile steel to protect occupants during impacts. During your pre-purchase inspection, check the hydraulic belt tensioner. The main serpentine belt relies on a fluid-filled hydraulic shock absorber to maintain proper tension on the pulleys. Over thousands of miles, the internal rubber seal fails. Look down at the passenger side of the engine block near the spinning belts. If you see dark fluid leaking down the side of the metal block near the tensioner arm, the unit has failed. A failed tensioner causes the belt to slip, reducing alternator output and disabling the air conditioning. Replacing the tensioner is a cheap repair. You must also check the direct injection system for carbon buildup. Because fuel sprays directly into the cylinder, it does not wash the back of the intake valves. If the car idles rough, it may need a walnut blasting service to clean the valves. You can secure a pristine 2018 Mazda 3 for $12,000 to $16,000. Finding a reliable hatchback is a huge win. But what if you want a modern car that offers an interior so quiet and refined, it makes a luxury car look cheap? Our runner-up is a premium bargain. Best 2. The 2021 Mazda 3. Mazda redesigned the Mazda 3 for the 4th generation, pushing the vehicle out of the economy class and directly into the premium segment. They changed the design philosophy to focus on a quiet cabin and smooth power delivery. The 2021 model year is the sweet spot for this generation. It avoids the early production bugs of the 2019 models while offering the best features. Under the hood, you will find the 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine. Mazda made all-wheel drive available on this generation. The all-wheel drive system is predictive. It monitors wiper usage, outside temperature, and steering angle to send power to the rear wheels before you slide on wet pavement. For buyers who want more power, Mazda introduced a turbocharged version of the 2.5-liter engine in 2021, producing 250 horsepower. Both engines are highly reliable and use traditional automatic transmissions. The most significant change for the 4th generation is the rear suspension. Mazda replaced the complex multi-link setup with a torsion beam rear axle. While automotive critics complained about this change, it is a huge benefit for long-term reliability. The torsion beam has fewer moving parts, fewer rubber bushings to tear, and requires less maintenance. The ride is firm but comfortable, and the vehicle still handles corners with confidence. The interior is a masterclass in minimalist design. Mazda removed the touchscreen entirely. Instead, they provided a high-resolution display set deep into the dashboard, controlled by a tactile rotary dial on the center console. You can navigate the menus without taking your eyes off the road. The climate control features physical buttons. The cabin is heavily insulated, making it one of the quietest cars on the market at highway speeds. Before you purchase, check the battery voltage. The complex electronics draw a small amount of current when the vehicle sits parked. If the car sits for a week, the battery may drain. Install a high-capacity absorbent glass mat battery to solve this minor flaw. You also need to verify the oil level on the naturally aspirated models. Some early 4th generation engines equipped with cylinder deactivation consumed a small amount of oil between changes. Check the dipstick to ensure the engine was properly maintained. You can buy a slightly used 2021 Mazda 3 for $18,000 to $22,000. It is the smartest purchase for a daily commuter who wants luxury on a budget. Are you ready to see the vehicle that defeated the giants of the auto industry? Make sure you click that like button to support honest automotive advice. We have reached the summit. When consumers flock to the Toyota Corolla, they ignore a car that beats it in driving dynamics, interior quality, and long-term durability. This is the undisputed champion of the modern Mazda lineup. Stick around, because this final car proves that modern engineering can still be reliable. Best one, the 2025 Mazda 3. We have reached the peak of modern compact car engineering. As of 2026, the 2025 Mazda 3 represents the most perfected version of the 4th generation platform. Mazda engineers listened to years of consumer feedback and refined every single aspect of the vehicle. When buyers demand a new car that will not break down, they blindly purchase a Honda Civic. They accept a continuously variable transmission and a noisy cabin in exchange for reliability. The 2025 Mazda 3 shatters that compromise. Mazda made a crucial decision for the late 4th generation models. They dropped the smaller 2.0-liter engine and made the 2.5-liter naturally aspirated engine standard across the base trims. This engine is the undisputed gold standard for Mazda reliability. It lacks a turbocharger on the standard trims, meaning there is less engine heat and lower long-term maintenance costs. It produces 191 horsepower, which is plenty of power to merge onto a busy highway. The driving dynamics set this car apart from every competitor. Mazda engineers focused on the driver's seating position. The steering wheel is aligned with the center of the driver's seat and the pedals. The gas pedal is floor-mounted rather than hanging from the firewall. This organ-style pedal matches the natural pivot point of your ankle, preventing leg fatigue on long road trips. The chassis is rigid, allowing the suspension to absorb deep impacts without transferring harsh vibrations into the quiet cabin. A medical courier named Jason purchased a 2025 Mazda 3 hatchback to transport lab samples between regional hospitals. He spent 8 hours a day in the driver's seat, navigating tight city streets and wide interstates. The ergonomic seats prevented lower back fatigue. He loaded medical coolers into the spacious hatchback area. The standard safety technology, including blind spot monitoring and radar cruise control, kept him safe in heavy traffic. He followed the maintenance schedule, changing the full synthetic oil every 5,000 miles. The engine retained perfect factory compression, and the automatic transmission shifted without hesitation. Despite its status as a mechanical champion, you must check a few minor details before buying. First, Mazda paint is known to be relatively thin. The front hood and bumper are susceptible to rock chips from highway driving. You should invest in a clear paint protection film for the front of the vehicle to keep the paint looking pristine. Second, the infotainment system receives regular over-the-air software updates. Ensure the system is running the latest software version to prevent any Bluetooth connectivity drops with your smartphone. You can purchase a gently used or nearly new 2025 Mazda 3 for $22,000 to $26,000. It is the absolute best compact car on the market today. You now possess the exact knowledge required to bypass the overpriced dealership traps. You know which years the dashboards melted, which years the touchscreens failed, and which years the engines crossed 300,000 miles with zero stress. Stop paying a heavy tax for boring transportation appliances. Demand sharp handling, proven naturally aspirated engines, and secure your financial freedom today. If this deep dive into automotive engineering saved your bank account, hit the subscribe button and leave a comment down below telling us your favorite vehicle on this list. There is another vital video popping up on your screen right now, exposing the European luxury vehicles that will bankrupt you. Click the video on your screen before you sign a loan for your next car. We will see you in the next one. Drive smart, avoid the traps, and keep your cash in your wallet.